Hi everyone, I'm DeFi Dad. This is episode 12 of Yield TV. I'm here with Coin Artist. Thanks for watching. Every introduction is like a boomer got a hold of StreamYard and they're trying to do a live stream. Thanks for watching. Okay. Hey, thanks again for joining us. I've got Marguerite de Courcelles, who also goes by the alias Coin Artist. We're going to talk today all about personal tokens. We're going to talk about NFTs. We're going to talk about her own personal token coin and NFT gaming. So Marguerite, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you again. I feel like every few months I've had some sort of panel or interview with you, and every few months feels like a lot has happened. Just the space moves so quickly.
A lot of times those panels happen because I'm trying to I'm like, what just happened? And so I throw everybody in a room and I make them tell me. So it's my high speed of learning.
A few months ago, we were talking mostly about Neon District, and now we've got Coin, which we're going to cover today. So it's exciting times. How are you and your family doing with the pandemic? You guys hanging out, having fun?
Yeah, we're doing great. I'm in Oregon, and so yeah, lots of space, and everyone's healthy.
Did you have a lot of smoke there from the fires?
Yep, there's still quite a bit of smoke actually.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we moved from California right before the fire started. And I mean, I was not happy to move from California, but moving from California days before like a massive fire starts and the skies turn orange and everyone's stuck inside and it's 95 degrees, it's not bad.
Next level.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. Why don't we start with your background? Talk a bit about, you've had a long history working in the crypto space that's led to you, being one of the notable game builders. And I think, at the end of the day, like I always, you're an artist. So I always think of your art first off. And I want to talk about all of it. So how did you get started? How did you become Coin Artist? How did you start Blockade Games?
Sure. Well, it's a long story. How long have you been in this space, by the way?
Just 3 years. I like to think I bought everyone's ether at $700 and $800. I made everyone rich in 2017, and then I watched the prices fall, and I realized, wow, like I actually don't give a shit about the price. I'm still loving this space, and that's when I was like, I got to work in this space, and started pursuing jobs.
Yeah. What were you doing before? I guess. What was your job before?
I worked in a pretty traditional SaaS job in San Francisco. I actually skipped work to go to an Ethereal. And then funny enough, I ended up working on Ethereal when I was at Consensus. And it was pretty like, it came really quickly, like I was doing what everyone did, listening to podcasts. I read the Bitcoin white paper. I read about Ethereum. And I just was like, wow, like, this is so nuts. Like I recognize there's a lot of like ivory tower thinking going on, but I definitely could see that future playing out. And working in SaaS, I actually, some of the money Legos, which we didn't call them that back then, but Ethereum made a lot of sense to me. I was like, once people start building apps on this, it's all going to stack and it's going to be something like Salesforce or Marketo, where you see all these applications that sort of complement one another. So yeah, I don't know. I feel really lucky though. It's the only thing I've been right about my whole life. I've pretty much been wrong about everything else, but Ethereum and Bitcoin, I guess I got it.
I remember, so we've met a few times, but when we were in Tel Aviv at the Consensus event there, that was where everyone was really talking about DeFi, and blockchain gaming and NFTs were very much still under the radar. And I remember having these conversations about just wait until we fit these things together. So it's interesting. That was about a year ago. Can you believe that?
It was, and I definitely like did not foresee all of the yield farming craze coming, but I was so enamored with everything going on in DeFi at the time. I mean, I was rambling to everyone I knew. I'm like, this is it. Like this is the killer use case that we've been looking for. This is enough to grow attention in this space. And not that DeFi wasn't the end of the story, but it's just more about bringing more users in. And at the same time too, I think it was probably not until January, February, with the pandemic looming, that's when the dots started to connect for me with NFTs, because I was stuck at home. I was hopping into VR a lot. I had gotten a headset. I had also discovered Cryptopuzzles, which I didn't need a headset for. And like suddenly I'm like, okay, I want to live in a digital world all the time. This is really fun, you know, other than like with my children. And if I'm going to live in a digital world, I need to own things. And the only way I could do that is really with NFTs. And it like suddenly hit me like, holy shit, this is it. This is why everyone is so excited about NFTs. So yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're at a, in the space of a lot of the new DeFi users coming over, but also the greater blockchain community, people trying to understand what makes an NFT valuable, and the fact that it's not just an image you're looking at. That's like it's not like the, you know, how the Bitcoin logo is associated with the token, right? And they're like, so it's the way though that these tokens are designed are different than an ERC20 token, right? So the smart contracts and everything. So we're in a place where everybody's, I guess, learning more about the technology that's backing how all of this is possible, and then also using IPFS for storage. So anyways, I guess like as people are realizing that ownership bit, and also, like with DeFi, we're asking users to kind of bring value to these networks by taking certain actions, right? So like even if it's a collateralized loan or something like that on the chain, or a compound interest, like there's still interactions. Someone is doing an action that results in some outcome by using the network.
It feels good to use versus talk about. It's nice to say, listen, if you deposit money into this thing, you're lending your money and you earn interest on it from the borrowers. Oh, I understand that. That's how my bank works. You know, that it's great to finally get there. With NFTs, it's like, I don't really need to explain to you what an NFT is. I just need to explain to you that you can play a game and you own what makes the game fun. And essentially, I mean, the game doesn't shut down, hopefully, but if it did, you still own these, and there's actually a secondary market you can sell them on, like OpenSea. So it's fun to let people use and see stuff in motion versus talk about and try to explain email to someone in 1991. It sounds ridiculous. Show them and they're like, whoa,
yeah,
that's cool.
Well, and so that's where the application developers are really starting to come up around all these tools. So we've designed all these tools. We've designed different types of users. So even just in the DeFi space, like you're talking about being a borrower so like these identities and associations with certain actions and the network. And now we keep adding on top of that small game mechanics. There's two ways that this can go. You can start building more complex game mechanics directly on top of DeFi and that experience, and give users a wider identity of what their actions entail and how it contributes to this ecosystem. But also you can do a larger application, which is more immersive and more story driven, like that.
Yeah.
That hides a lot of the technology in the background, but your actions and how you interact with the application is still executing the same sort of functions. So that's where really having on my side, I know I totally skipped my intro. I can go back to that, but
matter. We'll cover it a lot. This is much better. I'd rather like hop into an organic conversation. So yeah, I'm trying to actually, as you were sharing that, I was thinking about what do you think, what's something that you understand will play out in the future in terms of where we are with NFTs and gaming on the blockchain, namely with like Ethereum? What's something you believe will play out that you think many do not understand yet? They do not foresee this coming.
Ooh, I don't know. I bet there's people that probably foresee this coming, but for example, all of these tools and these I call them microeconomies that are spinning up.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah.
We've been giving new tools to developers to build experiences. So what these developers like myself and a lot of people in the application space, we are handing back to users more tools in which they will go and have opportunities to create value. I think that
I see it. Yeah.
Right. It's not just an entertainment piece where I've given you something, now you can play this game. The whole key to tying the micro economies together is the extra opportunity to realize additional value on top of these already underlying valuable systems. So imagine, like, for example, Neon District with its game economy with a very strong game design. We are using it to loop in all these other economies and their different functions in different interesting ways. So a type of user can enjoy the Neon District economy, but maybe they're a certain type of user. So someone that really loves crafting or recipes, designing recipes.
Yeah.
They need to have the ability to really explore that and then go capture value with it. It's even better though if, as designers, we create the opportunity for them to add a little bit of their own creativity and ingenuity to the actual process. And that will make it scalable as far as we don't have to then be if we don't have to constantly be shipping the content to meet demand, but users can also add to that. And that's where tying in NFT, like crypto artists into the mix, figuring out how do you streamline a pipeline to capture like these images and auto mapping them to 2D assets that are already like pre-designed for this process, where and you can, in the contracts, already have the automated payout for them for when these assets sell. So it's like a lot of these are they sound like maybe we could just ship this tomorrow, but there's so many moving pieces to it that while we've had these ideas for years now, it still is a matter of bridging, like you said, all the money Legos together. So game
Legos. Like, as you're saying all of this, the way you're speaking about it is the way I still talk about DeFi, but it was the way I was thinking about DeFi last fall, looking at it saying, wow, like, I mean, once people start tying all these different mechanisms together, like in gaming, I would think of it this way. I would love to be able to play Neon District and to, for some reason, take some of that value from the game and be able to hop over to another game. You know, like basically it becomes like a metaverse of different games. And I mean, you've already kind of started to do this with Coin. Like you've got some actions required to provide liquidity on Uniswap. And then if I do that, I earn, I think it's cred. Is that how it works? I earn cred, and somehow this ties back to Neon District since it could be a payment form in the future.
Yeah. And Coin is an example of a microeconomy where we are starting to layer in some different DeFi experiences. And we're doing this alongside Blockade's application development, and largely that's Neon District, which is our main title. Our community that we've developed though over the past, ever since I basically started making these sort of gamified experiences using blockchain technology since 2014, we brought we've really nurtured and cultivated this very specific type of user base. So the Neon District Discord became the hub in very early 2018, it might have even been in 2017, but 2018. And it's about 6,000 users now. And they're all with a very specific focus on the kind of work we're doing with NFTs, game applications, the blockchain tech, but also these a lot of the people in our community have skills, developer skills, because they've been following so long, and also the puzzle solving approach that I had taken for a long time attracts a certain type of user, and usually means that they have additional talents and skill sets. So by launching Coin, I wanted to put this ability for my brand to expand into this community. When I launched Blockade, the game company, it felt like I built a wall between what I previously had with my community. Like we were usually like one and the same. I was able to move around in the space very freely. And then with Blockade, it was a very strong identity. And now you have to follow these like sort of, with a company becomes a different, it's a different beast. So
yeah,
wanted
it's great building that. That's actually something I wanted to talk to you more about today, is just the complexity of like building a video game. Could we take a step back a sec though and talk about that life you were talking about before Blockade? What were you working on yourself? Like, what was your job before then, or were you always self-employed? Yeah,
Yep.
what was that?
So I went to fine art school. I was a artist and a painter. I was a curator for a few different galleries. I was a gallery director. And though I've always played in and always been passionate about creative technology forever. Like, I remember seeing like robots drawing, or even someone creating a robot to like paint. And now all these questions of who's responsible for this artwork? Is this actually art? And those kind of questions. So in that sort of thinking, when I came across Bitcoin and started mining it, I was thinking about distributed and decentralized systems. I was fascinated about this whole concept of these computers on this network racing to solve a puzzle, a cryptographic puzzle. And the first one to win gets the Bitcoin. And that is basically like the computers are playing a game to get this money. Right? And like and then they're communicating, and people in the different computers are checking to make sure this is true. So the network stays true. So that system was so fascinating to me. But then I realized that, as I was also at the time reading like a bunch of sci-fi books, Snow Crash and Ready Player One, and
yeah,
just
they're
because
all playing out in front of us right now. But it's like now with VR and everyone at home, you're like, feels like this is all coming quicker than I expected.
Well, so what I think was fascinating about that was this whole culture spun up around money. And I had to learn about what is money, the ideas and concepts of money, almost from an artistic lens, and thinking about it like in that creative way. Is Bitcoin really just like this beautiful art masterpiece? As like, I think in the early days, some countries actually did classify Bitcoin as art. So
really, I didn't realize that. I know in the U.S. it's classified as property still, at least by the IRS. Like,
you can, it was either Sweden or Switzerland. Someone in 2014 came out and said that it's classified as art.
Wow. I never thought about too the idea that what goes on with proof of work is kind of like a game. But yeah, you're right. It's a game. I mean, that's why we all talk about game theory, and why, that's what essentially is underpinning what happens and what works on Bitcoin and Ethereum and other blockchains.
Yep. So I was making art pieces at the time, and just thinking, I'm thinking about all these different things. I'm reading these books and trying to think about money, and I started to think about, okay, what if since the value of it's all on like digital, right? Bitcoin is a digital thing. Mm-hmm. And thinking about a dollar bill being like, it feels physical, but really it's represented also, actual value is represented digitally as well today. So how do you, like, if you were going to physically represent a Bitcoin, like, how would you do that? And the private key is how you could access the Bitcoin, which lives online. So if you're thinking about, okay, this private key, if in its physical nature was in the real world, is essentially like a representation of that online money. Maybe I'm getting too abstract, but I decided you can turn this private key into something physical but represent it in a pattern so that it has been encrypted using some sort of puzzle mechanic, so that then the experience of solving the puzzle is similar to these computers solving it, but now it has a creative abstract twist on it that only a human could really decipher.
How many examples of these crypto puzzles? Like, because I read that in your, like, I just, today was obviously preparing, and I realized I do not know what that refers to when you talk about the fact that you were building those. Yeah. Do you have any examples you could show us?
Yeah. There is the the one that was the most famous was called One Flame or it was Torched Hearts, and it's often referred to as One Flame. I just pulled it up here.
And what year is this when you're making these?
Started in 2014.
24. Okay, cool. So and at this point you've discovered Bitcoin. Here you go.
Yep. So do they have a full image in here? Let me see.
Oh, that's cool. Here, by the way, if you zoom in on your screen, any of that, it'll zoom in here. Just whatever you see is what folks are seeing. Oh, there we go. Cool.
Yeah. So this is an oil pastel, and the private key is in the flames.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
like the letters, numbers are in there. You can.
Yep.
No way.
And so these little Greek keys in the corner are clues on how to read it, because it starts here, and it goes around this way, and then you get up to this corner and it flips over here, and then you follow here, and then it ends up all the way. Then that's the end. So the center is like a story that I was sharing. There's this key here. That's your cipher key. So once you actually get the string, you have to use the cipher key, which is so the short is a 0 and the long is a 1. So that's the pattern. So you have to use that then to decrypt the string that you pulled out of the flames, and you'll know you have the right answer because it has a very famous. It has truth, beauty, and rarity, which the phoenix and the dove is referent. It is like a Shakespearean poem. And so it's the whole string starts with that phrase, so you'll know you'll have it. So if you have a mistake somewhere, at least you know the mass of what you have should be correct. So it allowed people to go back and check, which was actually important because that was
so cool. There's no way in hell I would have ever figured any of that out, but that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Figured it out eventually, and did they use the private key and they got the Bitcoin?
Yeah. So it took the engineer that started it. I can't talk about it. The group that ended up solving it ends up being somebody like a group that's more prestigious than I previously knew about, like a famous community in that way, which is so cool because I just found that out like last week. But
wow,
it took them 3 months, 3 months since they started work on it. And the Bitcoin Talk forum, where I had launched that 3 years earlier, they were really close for a while. But people just talked themselves out of it. Like, oh, there's no way I could do this. This is too hard. I can't figure this out. So people had been sharing of like steps towards the solution. And then people just hit a place where they got stuck. And because there's little things, I don't when I ship those, I don't do it with any directions. It's just, that's
crazy. Where did you get the idea to do that? Like, it's like something out of like a Indiana Jones movie, except in Indiana Jones, he just is like, yeah, this goes there and that goes there. And you're like, well, it's a movie. But here, this is like a real life Indiana Jones, cypherpunk version.
Actually, the whole reason that it started was my first piece I did was of Cody Wilson and Amir Takai. And they were at the time working on, and I think Peter Todd actually was involved in this, on the dark wallet, which was a wallet to basically allow for more additional privacy for Bitcoin. I don't know if the project ever really finished. I think when that first bear market happened in 2014, I think it might have fallen apart. But I was making that art piece, and it was a portrait of them. And I decided to do an online treasure hunt with it, and because of the nature of the dark wallet, like kind of being like this added secrecy. So I started thinking, and then it clicked that you could also hide the information for what makes the Bitcoin in it as well. So yeah, I guess that's how that happened.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Wow. That's so cool to learn about that. I hear it's like a little blip on your Twitter, and I was like, what is a crypto puzzle? I'm curious then, is there any like puzzle that is related to coin? Like what I know is the coin Eden. which is, in case folks don't know what that is, which maybe this is like we can hop into talking about coin. This is where I can participate in a liquidity mining program related to coin, which is, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, I classify it as like a personal token or social token or whatever.
I get creator token, social token.
Yeah, creator token. I like that so much more. That is exactly, yeah, that's so much, because like social or personal sounds, it doesn't encompass like what's going into this. And at the end of the day, you're a creator. But anyways, yeah, you can provide liquidity on Uniswap, and then you can stake it and you can earn rewards. Maybe this is a good time though, Marguerite, to talk more about coin. Like how did you launch coin? How did you decide, like what led you from creating Cryptopuzzles to you launched Neon District? Or I mean, you all are very far along in building and very close to having just launched the first part of Neon District. And
yep. So I remind me to tell you about the coin puzzle if I miss it, because it's kind of important for also coin's functionality. So with those puzzles I was talking about, that dark wallet one, it was so viral on Bitcoin Talk. The reason why I continued to do this type of work was I realized I just did something. I was like, I don't know what I just did, but people really liked it. So it was at one point, it was the most like popular thread on Bitcoin Talk. That's Satoshi Nakamoto's forum, right? His original forum of all time. And as a creator, I was like, what did I do? Like, what was the thing that was so sticky about that?
Wow.
So
did you do one, or did you do more of those crypto puzzles?
Yeah, so I did. So I continued to do more for about 6 years. But I started playing with counterparty assets, which I just got in an argument recently with people who like said those are the original non-fungible tokens. So, anyways, was doing token controlled access with that for game. It was a puzzle, and you would unlock levels as you solved. There was a bot that would basically issue you the token that you needed to have in your wallet to, on a website, continue the challenges. And so when you put in that right solution, you were issued that token to continue. And then the tokens themselves were kind of collectibles. They were named. They had information about them that was about the experience they had just solved and whatnot, and the levels they were at. So that was in 2014, actually, right? So like we've been working on these ideas for a long time. And the things we wanted, and realizing like, okay, and then also replacing centralized processes for the decentralized ones as they have come about. Where there's still places, like for example, anyways, I don't want to go too far on that. So what we realized though, as people are going through these puzzles, was that the opportunity like to win, even if it's just sprinkled through the puzzle, and then you have the main prize at the end, it is disheartening for people after they walk through that and they try really hard that first experience, and then maybe they don't get any of the prizes. Then when I launch another one, they may not be as invested or excited about it. Even though educationally they might have learned a lot about the technology, because a lot of the puzzles do require users to have to learn. So what we realized was with NFTs, when that happened, when with real metadata, a way that you can't wash this information away from tokens, so they have a unique ID. So just as the technology started to and we saw what happened with CryptoKitties, I realized that we are at a place that puzzle experience for people could now be crafted in a way where you could start at the beginning, have a history of your experience essentially, and your assets can be capable of being dynamic, meaning as you invest time into them, they can evolve according to how you're interacting with them on the application. So that metadata is mutable. And so on your applications, you can give it all kinds of forms and different values and shapes and capabilities. And other developers can choose to recognize that metadata or not. But the fact is that you have the ability it's transferable, which is that is your Ready Player One, like that core piece that you need. So that is where we got really excited about building this application where all users, if they have the tools, now look at tokens as tools, to walk through experiences and take away value and have something that then they can, they can either trade it, it could be a collection, or we can build supplemental experiences outside and around the main core loops to support these assets to give them new life. So even your Neon District character, for example, I can dive into that further, but I'll give you a minute to see if I answered. Oh, I did. Coin puzzle.
I want to know more about Neon District now, because now that I'm understanding your background with Cryptopuzzles, I guess, am I right to assume that when I play this, like my experience could be different than someone else's? Like I'm not playing the same experience. I might walk away with different NFTs from my experience in the game. Right.
Yes. That is true. It's right now we're putting in all the infrastructure pieces so that is what will happen. Still at the moment we'll be a little bottlenecked by our ability to produce enough content. But yeah,
I was going to say, I can't imagine like having to create all these different like variables.
But yes, it's designed. So the game design is a wide game design, just like a Magic the Gathering is a wide game design. And the way it's like that is when you start out with, instead of, let's say, a blockchain game where you just have everything issued, like it's a straight up card game, and it all has assigned power levels to it. And the powerful ones are just really expensive. So you go, your whales buy those, right? Then when you're playing these games, it's not as much fun because the strategy in it all derived from originally somebody's ability to pay for it. The way that Neon District is designed is that there's a ton of these assets that they're meant to just be you basically playing the game. It's free to play model. So when you play it, you'll start out with everything you need on a starter level. Then you'll go through the process of collecting more pieces and gear and characters as you go, and you can compose and craft those, and they'll be unique. And every time you level them, you basically it's like a dice roll mechanic almost about how your stats will be assigned to the different pieces. So
yeah. Can you walk me through what will I need in order to get started? Because if folks go to portal.neondistrict.io, the things that I've played with or at least checked out here is characters. I've got this is cool. Got some characters to choose from. I've got some gear. And then all of this costs Neon. And so that's something that I will acquire in order to play that once that's available. But what do you think is the minimum someone needs to spend to get started, or could they play for free without buying any of this first?
You should have. Do you have your wallet synced up to this?
I do. Yes, my wallet's connected. Yep.
You should have a character already. If you go back.
Yep.
You go to see the character button down underneath the loot box.
Yes. Oh, here we go. Oh, so cool.
So you have a free character. If you were to go and buy gear and equipment, so
cool.
That's actually his outfit. That the gear. I don't think this is live just yet, but the assets that he's wearing you get when you buy that character. But then when you equip, here, do you want me to show you my screen?
Yes. Yeah. Please show me. Yeah, you've probably got lots more to show. Oh, that's so cool. I remember choosing or like recognizing I had a character, so that's good to know. Also, too, we probably won't have time to touch upon it. I just noticed the Matic logo. Didn't realize so Neon District is built with Matic.
Yes.
Cool.
Well, so we have a bridge, an Ethereum bridge. So I think I just moved all my assets over from Ethereum. But let me show you this.
No, you've got so much more to show than what I did there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. So yeah, you can.
Whoa. Cool.
Everything I'm changing right now is an NFT. So the character itself is an NFT. All of these unique pieces, the legs, the arms, the body, the head, are also, they're all NFTs.
Yep. Yeah, I was trying to explain this to like my parents who barely can operate an iPhone. And I'm like, well, if we're all in a digital world, everything that you own that is digital and scarce, that's that's what we're trying to empower with these. But I just didn't call it an NFT. So this makes sense.
Uh,
How many NFTs are in Neon District, or will there be in? Are we talking hundreds or thousands of different NFTs?
yeah, there are currently thousands, and that it's designed in a way to scale so that like these skins, they can be sorry, I'm playing dress up.
Fun to watch. I like, this is the sort of thing that I think I've talked to Andrew Steinwald before about, like, this was maybe 6 months ago, like before I feel like I started hearing more people talk about NFTs in the DeFi space. And he was just talking my ear off about, you know, the fact that gaming is just a really natural way to get people interested. And like, I look at what you're doing and I'm like, why would like my nieces and nephews not want to play this? You know, like, especially the teenagers, like they love the ones that like have played Fortnite or derivatives of Fortnite. Like, why would they not want to play this?
So I think that the meta game of this experience is going to be really strong, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with people, like what they really love about it. So though the crafting part is like the first phase of our rollout for the game launch. The game is actually, if you're in the Coins Eden, you'll probably have alpha access in November, and it'll be web.
Ah, there we go. That's it. That the folks watching, you gotta get into the website for that was coinartist.io/calm. That's what you're referring to with Eden, right?
Well, the Eden is actually the Discord.
Oh, even better.
So this is what I was going to tell you with the coin puzzle that we did. So when we launched Coin, we also had a puzzle, of course, to go with it, which was just a sequence. But people that had Coin, they were given a heads up to get into the private token controlled access part of the Neon District Discord. So once there, we launched the puzzle a few days later, and as you progressed in the puzzle, you interacted with a bot who unlocked additional secret channels for you, but they're all gated to only coin holders. So it was a really fun. Discord is like, most gaming communities are on Discord, but it also, I know that traders love Telegram, but the functionality and what you can do in Discord is so much more dynamic. And you have projects like Collabland. That's who we're working with for our bot that's doing the token controlled access. They're doing this across a few different platforms, and one is Telegram. And now they're supporting Snapshot, which is something we use as well, straight into the Discord. And I think they do it on Telegram too. But like, if there's a proposal made on the Snapshot, then a Snapshot is a way for it to do community governance without having to have gas. So and when that happens, like, it's like auto posted to your different channels. We have like a trading, you can watch the market in the Discord. People can jump into voice chat. People can stream games directly from there too. So our Eden is a very close-knit community where I basically, as I'm having different creative ideas or discussions, I'm going straight to my community so that I have a more intimate feel of where we're going to be taking the project, and also the opportunity to collaborate and contribute. I give tips. I give coin tips to people that if I need a little bit of work done for something, instead of hiring, someone, I want it to come from the community. So, so yeah, that's kind of like our counterculture that we're developing and it's also, so Coins Eden is the first Neon District syndicate, which means it is in the universe of Neon District. It will have its own lore and representation, and I'm considered the boss of the syndicate, but it's designed in a way that if someone ever hit a certain threshold of coin, they could establish their own syndicate within the Neon District universe. So there's different tiers in the Neon District, like Discord. You can see. Actually, I'll just show you.
Yeah. Show us.
Yeah, but there's different tiers that allow for us to basically. I
think it's, while you're pulling this up, like, two takeaways that that I have recognized is like core to the way you work with your community. And I think part of the reason you have a lot of support, like I notice, you know, just from like tweets alone, like people who like love your work, who love like the Cryptopuzzles or Blockade Games, Neon District, Coin. I mean, there's a common thread to this. Like you listen to people and you ask for feedback and you are gracious to them. And, you know, being kind to people and working really hard and letting them know that you listen, it goes a long way, aside from all the other like incredible skill sets you have. But it's a note to take for others that are building or thinking about building in this space. I do not think this is a community, whether you call it the NFT gaming community within Ethereum itself, go beyond that into like the crypto community. It's not a community to go it alone. You really do so much better to think about how to work well with others. Anyways, yeah, just I'm always like really impressed by, like, it might just be like tweets, but like you engage everyone, you listen really carefully. And I notice, like, doesn't matter who it is, it could be someone, you know, who has no experience with your game, but if they've got an interesting suggestion, like, you are quick to say thank you, you know, like, and like, even if it's not a good idea, like I recognize like you're being kind to them, and it keeps people wanting to come back and try your game and share with others and evangelize all the cool stuff you're doing.
Well, I think that it's just my nature of how I like to interact with the community, honestly, was my introduction to the Bitcoin community as an artist early on. There weren't very many of us, but as we were trying to figure out, well, how can I contribute? I'm not a blockchain engineer.
Yeah. We've all been there. It's like overwhelming. You're like, what do I do? I'm not a developer. But you are a developer now. That's the crazy thing. I didn't realize this, that you started out purely as an artist, and now when did you learn to develop with smart contracts?
Well, so I am like more of the creative designer and the game, like, and more of a game designer than I am the engineer. So Ben is like the CTO, is the PhD, like, computer science guru. and
Gotcha.
I understand the technology enough to do things and build out ideas, but not implement the type of work that Ben does. I understand the smart contracts and what's possible and how we can push the boundary. But no, I definitely am sitting more at the intersection of the creative tech, my knowledge of fine art. I really want to disrupt the fine art world by proving that these NFTs have basically everything, game asset NFTs that are heavily about art, have the ability to be considered fine art, as like games have always had this problem in the fine art world of never being respected, like the game art, where that's some of the most beautiful art, like, and it's the hardest to be produced too, most cutting edge, and it doesn't get this respect. So like, I guess, like, as we really push the boundaries with this, I really can't wait to have, and you've seen like the fine art world is coming in to the NFT space and being more involved. So I'm really excited for that conversation of game art is just as valuable, like, is fine art.
It is. Oh, and the prices are starting to prove it to those who doubted it. I wanted to make sure that we're mindful of your time. Marguerite, I was originally thinking we would hop off in 5 minutes. I'm okay to keep going, but like, do you need to get off to another? Don't you have another interview after this?
I do with Ken Bozak.
Yeah. Okay. So in light of that, I wanted to ask you about more about Coin, or just if you can talk to us a bit about like where you think the state of like personal tokens or creator tokens is. We probably don't have time though for this other question. You mentioned the fact that the Bitcoin community, you know, was very welcoming to you, and you were an artist and not a developer. Like, do you feel like that's changed? Like, I feel like in my 3 years, I've watched the community change a lot. Like, I don't really recognize the Bitcoin community anymore. It's probably why I'm so in love with the Ethereum community. But do you find it still to be as welcoming? Like, do you think like you, as coming into the space as an artist, in 2020, do you think you would have lived the same experience?
No, I wouldn't have walked into. The Bitcoin community has its own creative areas that it's still cultivating. But I definitely think that the inclusivity that I have experienced which was such a shock, actually. Some of the Ethereum events I went to after like just kind of more Bitcoin or blockchain generic events previously, because I had to my career was mostly developed in the Bitcoin space.
Yeah.
So I had to learn all the Ethereum people and what they do. That was in around 2017 when I decided to move over, because I had been looking for basically like an effective, what's called a meta coin for a while. And
Right.
When the NFTs happened, that's basically that idea. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to learn this. And when I moved over to the Ethereum space, felt a little lost in the beginning, but only for a second, because like I remember Matt Lockyer threw me up on stage like as soon as possible. You know, people looking to have as many voices represented as in the Ethereum space. I guess so. To just answer your question, like I think artists will onboard with Ethereum. I just don't see how they don't at this point. And you have your different application developers who are actively educating people. Like I know the OpenSea team will onboard different creators that have no idea how to get started, and they have that storefront manager where basically you can upload files and just mint a token, and it's like the push of a button. So that experience is so approachable for someone that is not like technically savvy.
I've got a few questions here sort of related to this from folks that are watching. This person just asked, would you recommend any traditional artists where to start in their journey into the NFT space, what tools to use, and how to start minting their first artworks on the blockchain?
Yeah, so I mean so OpenSea, do you want me to show this?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, show it here. Yeah, I think of what OpenSea, Rarible too, right? Rarible, you can actually mint it.
And you could do this, so actually you can do all this from OpenSea as well. They direct you, they give you the opportunity to do on and to go to Rarible. And I think when you list on OpenSea, I can't see that. So storefront manager, and that's me. Well, I should go back. So if I was going to create a new storefront, I would click this button.
Cool.
But
I realized these were all related, that Mintbase and Rarible link into it.
Yeah, so you can do other. Yeah, so OpenSea's API, basically everyone uses it. Rarible uses it. I think Mintbase, I would have to say. I think everybody, if you're using like these NFTs in a way that you're displaying the art across the different sites, I'm pretty much sure everyone's using OpenSea's API.
Yeah, OpenSea is definitely like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Like I've realized a few years ago, I was impressed by them. I just never envisioned like they would become this. They're a juggernaut now. Like you can't be in NFTs without OpenSea.
Yep. They're really defensible at the moment. Well, currently, it's going to be a race. But you can upload an image here.
Cool.
And name and then submit, and it's going to.
Wow.
Yeah, cool. That's it. Like so for a user, artist, traditional artist. All you need is to have, well, and I guess the thing that's really, if you go to superrare.io, they do a great job with their art presentation. It is competitive to get in, but you apply, and you'll see artists are leveraging like GIFs more, like because they feel more digital and they're more like interactive, feel alive. There's RAC. He's interesting because he just launched also a social token, creator token, called RAC, and he put out his first NFT that uses an MP4 file. I haven't seen that before, and it has audio. So he is a music creator. He's a famous musical artist. So and then it visually also has a video like file with it. So it's really neat. He has that on his Twitter. His Twitter is just
Ethereum nerd too. I've got one more here just because I'm gonna hold you until you just have to cut us off and we'll let you go. There's another really great question here. Just in the next 5 years, which platform do you see blockchain gaming having the most success on? Also, should blockchain games aim for the console market?
So I think the biggest success we're going to see in the near future is going to probably be something that is an iteration on a DeFi mechanic that is probably not sustainable, and it'll probably be what we call hyper casual gaming, on mobile.
I like that term, hyper casual gaming. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So if you look up hyper casual games, you'll get a sense of what that kind of looks like. And did you ever play Cookie Clicker, like the Cookie Clicker game?
I haven't. No, I've actually. This is on your phone you're talking about?
I don't know if they have it on your phone. It used to be just a web app, but like you would click with your mouse as fast as possible to get the cookies and to make as many cookies as possible. And it was just like this, but like there's really no real game mechanic to it, like a sustainable game mechanic. And it's easy to bot if you're going to bot it. But so you'll have to have something that prevents botting because we're talking about money. But it's going to be something that bridges that gap. Like that's a little bit, like it's hard to bot. It's kind of like a CAPTCHA, but a little more fun. And it interacts with some sort of DeFi mechanic. And so those pieces combined as a mobile app, I think will probably be the most adopted thing fastest.
Very cool. I the whole time we've been talking, by the way, I keep thinking of, I feel like I learned a lot from this Netflix documentary, High Score. I just like, it's like the history of gaming. And I'm like 99% sure you've watched it. Like, I don't feel like anyone in your space couldn't have watched it, but anyone who's interested in gaming, like you got to watch it. It's so much fun to like relive the 80s and 90s in terms of games. Again, you cut me off whenever you need to. I got one like other key question. What should people know about creator tokens? You have coin that's been created, and we talked a bit about the fact that you can provide liquidity for it in Ether on Uniswap, and if you stake it, you earn rewards. And then also this Friday or later, you're going to launch the ability to pay with coin on Neon District. Mm-hmm. So anyways, what should folks know about creator tokens? What makes a creator token legit versus something that we should be paying attention to? So
I definitely been stressing that, for example, coin should be seen as like play money. It's supposed to be playful. We're highly experimental, doing all kinds of crazy things with it. And if you're staking coin right now, what's happening is you're earning coin and cred. That's what you're farming. And cred is basically the bridge between like my coin brand ecosystem and then the Neon District universe ecosystem as well, where we will use coin in different ways, like it's a main premium payment for Neon. But when we set up a cred farm, you'll be able to farm different Neon District NFTs and also style like designs, my own coin design NFTs for Neon District that I will basically, will be like my fashion line. And you'll be able to farm. That's the only way you'll have the ability to do that. Cred is seen as street cred. It's called street cred. That's the token name. And ticker cred, it's seen as your like actual contribution you've provided to the network by being an LP provider for coin and ETH. So anybody that basically contributes to making coin more valuable probably in some way will be coming into the possession of cred as a reward. And cred will be recognized in my coin ecosystem and the Neon District ecosystem.
Is the cred based on like what I'm earning based on like what proportion of the Uniswap liquidity pool I own? Like that ETH pool. Let's pretend the coin ETH pool. Actually, I've got it up here. It's currently got 787,000 in liquidity. Let's pretend I own 1% of that. Like how often am I being rewarded this cred that I can, according to this, I could then claim it as I'm earning it.
Yeah, so there's 1 million cred in this month campaign, and it's according to your weight of
Cool.
the percentage that you have of the yeah.
And how many days left of this do we have? I'm trying to remember, when did this start?
Ooh, last, not Friday before last, I think.
Decades in our space.
Yeah.
Friday before last. A few months ago when this didn't exist. A few months before that when Wi-Fi did not exist, and a few months before that, before Compound launched a token and everything went crazy. So
another thing to know about coin though is like, I want to do all kinds of things that also cross back over into the art space more. So for example, like with NFTs, and I want to support and use coin as a way to help artists like see the additional value by using token-backed artwork. So I have a lot of ideas, and I love the idea of NFT sharding, where you shard ownership of an NFT into ERC20s. It represents the distributed ownership of that actually is a really cool game mechanic, and that as soon as, let's say, an NFT is totally farmed and it has a shared ownership via the ERC20s, somebody can still though make a bid on owning the actual whole NFT. And there's this happens currently on an exchange called Nfts. There's a 2-week window in which that money is held in escrow. And if no one makes a counter bid, the contract executes, and everybody that's holding the ERC20 shards gets paid out in that Ethereum. Now what happens though is somebody else might want to own that NFT, and so they will make a counter bid. And there's no way to stop someone from bidding.
The possibilities are endless, and I continue to be surprised myself by the fact that like what I hear you talking about and what I see actually becoming a reality in the NFT space, it's mirroring what I've already seen in DeFi, or maybe what I was thinking about in terms of like DeFi mechanisms. And then in DeFi, it was looking at Wall Street and legacy finance and saying, okay, like what good can be replicated? So I'm really excited to see this like merging of NFTs and DeFi. And I thought this was one of the coolest examples. Like it was a mechanism that I recognize. I provide liquidity, I stake it, and there's some reward. But at the end of the day, like I am most excited to actually play Neon District and like experience the story and sort of like live my own journey through it. And like Meme, the token, got me so interested in just collecting. Like I've never really collected digital art. Now I'm not there yet, but I am doing a lot more research. I'm definitely a few clicks away from FOMOing into a bunch of digital art. So
I'm gonna tell you one experience real quick that I think you'll really enjoy.
As much time as we need. It's just you. I'm poor Ken Bozak, but who cares? This is a better conversation.
Well, I think I told them 11:15. So
good. Okay.
But I wanted to say, so this is a crossover of DeFi and gaming. As an application developer, I'm really excited about is so RAC actually he's a coin, what I call a founder. He helped seed the liquidity pool when we launched. So the idea of song farming, for the seed hackathon, this is a bounty a coin will be putting out. Is the ability to farm for NFT, like sound NFTs, song NFTs. And then when you have these NFTs, you will, if they're in your wallet, when you're playing Neon District, which is, it'll roll out PvP, and then missions and campaign will come out early 2021. But originally it'll launch this December with PvP. Imagine in your experience that you have you have access to a curated like music library of NFTs you've collected that the application supports. And when it's your turn, say you're close to finishing off your opponent, you have 4 characters in your party against their 4 characters, and you're gonna drop one of your songs on this move. So you pick out the song, you press play, and then your opponent's gonna hear the beat drop, and they're gonna know that this move that's coming is gonna just wreck them. So
yeah,
and then you can, that idea scales to even like sound bites. So it's you're playing one of your characters, but you also want them to say something. So you can have a voiceover. It can even be text. I mean, you can really get weird with tokens in a fun way. Maybe in like, so when I say Neon District is meta, like we're really going to be focusing on that curated tokenized meta experience that you can craft for yourself. And when you play against someone else, you won't know what they have in their inventory. Like, imagine being a brand new user not knowing of any of these features, and then you're gonna be like, how did they do that?
It's pretty cool. I mean, I can see how just like more and more of these what do I want to call them, like modifications are just gonna just make gaming like so much more fun. And so am I understanding this correctly, what you just described though? It's like music will play, or like right as you do like a move, like you can set it up so that like, I don't know, you have maybe some music like oh yeah, something like that. That could be my music that plays.
So you'll be able to, exactly. And we could maybe I don't know. I don't know what the legalities work beyond like allowing a user to design their own NFT tokens in that way and sell them.
Yeah,
but we can work with partners, like RAC. You know, he already has the rights for all this music, and he can grant us the rights for this to happen on our application. Yeah.
Yeah. Really interesting. Anything that would you offer any warnings about like NFTs right now or personal tokens, just because like obviously we see in our space it's a very reflexive community. So when people get excited, they get really excited, and when they stop being excited, things really, like if we're talking about prices, they really tank. Yeah, anything to watch out for in terms of NFTs or personal tokens as these spaces continue to grow rapidly?
Well, something that I think about is so I think that the application developers are the ones that are going to be bringing the real utility to these NFTs. So I guess when I think about these different flashes in the pan being really hot right now, I personally wouldn't be throwing down a ton of money on different NFTs that, I mean, I know that a lot of people like to make flips, like short-term flips when something's hot. I mean, power to you, but as far as a long-term investment, I would think about what is the seriousness of the development like muscle that's going to be put behind a project and an experience. Someone that's in the, what's his name, Ian, in the NFT space. Is it Ian John Lee? Is that right?
Oh yeah, that sounds familiar. Yep.
Really trying to tell people like the experience is going to be where the value is created and lives. And I absolutely agree with that. So when you're making these investments, you need to think about, well, how many people would want to interact with this particular, build around support for this NFT particularly. A lot of times, if you love an artist, you're basically, if you're making an investment into an artist via creator token or they're buying their NFT, I think that's viable. But you have to remember that even in the traditional fine art space, people usually buy an art piece because they like it and they want it in their collection. There's going to be a lot of application support and platforms that will support displaying your digital art, but the chances that that art piece that you buy traditionally, it becoming like some multi-million-dollar investment is probably not realistic, like to like be the reason why you're buying it, unless you should always lead with like, just like when startups, right? People usually invest in founders more than they do the original idea.
Yeah. You want to not look back and regret it. I'm reading this book called The Psychology of Money. It's excellent. It's a super short read, but they talk about fine art, the fact that like no one could have foreseen what it would be valued at. And the key takeaway was that fine art is much like stocks. Like you would have no idea. Like stock picking is a myth. No one's good at it. There's no correlation between like those that have been successful and actually having an ability to pick stocks. But it's a long-term game, and it's about having exposure to a lot. And like normally, if you index the whole market, like in this case, I'm interested in digital art as a market. You might be able to win then, because the market itself is doing well. I would have no idea what to pick out in terms of what people will like or what they'll hate, but
well,
I love art, it's fun to look at.
As a gallery, like as a curator, and seeing what people value traditional fine art as, it's always tied to the power of the story that's associated with you.
Oh, that's cool.
If you can foresee that something might have a powerful story, that is where I would how I would make my bets.
Oh, that's cool. That's really like good advice. Yeah. Like not financial advice. None of this.
Yeah.
General advice, general art buying advice, not financial advice.
Just collecting, as a collector. Why
that's cool. No, I love that. I'm really Matthew from Scent is a wonderful person that everyone should follow on Twitter. He's just really, he's got all sorts of cool insights. He's an even better person if you meet him, and just he's so passionate about digital art.
I probably have to jump.
Yeah, we should let you go. Well, just before you do, reminder to everyone, follow you at coin_artist on Twitter. Make sure you check out I was sharing the link earlier. It's portal.neondistrict.io. Hop into the Discord for Neon District. You can talk to all sorts of cool people there. And anything else, Marguerite? We'd love to have you back, by the way. Obviously, I could have talked to you a whole nother hour about personal tokens, but it was really fun to talk more gaming because it's just such a fun space.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited for where we're going. Everyone's getting really creative. I love the collaborations and the partnerships across the space. So it's very
keep up the great work. You are so good at communicating the excitement and value of all of this, but then it's better because you're at the end of the day, you're a creator and a builder. And I think it's very genuine, you've been here for a long time building. And that's why when I saw you launch this coin token, I'm like, this is awesome. Cause we have a track record of someone being here, adding all this value. And this is call it funny money or whatever. I mean, if I was going to speculate on value, I'll say I will speculate on. I think coin is one that's worth looking at. So, but that's not financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor. So,
thank you.
Hey, take care. We'll see you soon. And hey, everyone, thanks for watching. Tomorrow, we're actually going to have, coincidentally, the founder of Matic will be on. So Sundeep will be calling in. We'll probably talk about gaming and the future of Layer 2 with Ethereum. So tune in tomorrow at 12 Eastern. Bye, everyone.